Welcome to the channel The Coin Hunter. What if I told you that a simple 5-cent piece from 1988, something you might find in your pocket right now, could be worth $50 million? Yes, you heard that right. Not $50, not 50,000, but $50 million. Most people walk past these coins every single day. They use them to buy coffee, drop them in parking meters, or toss them into jars without a second thought. But hidden among the ordinary nickels circulating in America right now could be one of the most valuable error coins ever discovered. This isn't some ancient treasure locked away in a museum. This is modern money that could be sitting in your change drawer at this very moment. And before we dive deep into why this particular nickel is so extraordinarily valuable, I want you to know something important. This 1988 P Jefferson nickel is just the beginning. After we uncover the shocking secrets behind this $50 million coin, I'm going to reveal two more Jefferson Nickels that are even more valuable, coins that have shattered every expectation and redefined what pocket change can truly be worth. So make absolutely sure you stick around until the very end because what's coming will blow your mind. But first, let's talk about this 1988 treasure. The 1988 P Jefferson nickel was minted in Philadelphia, marked with that small P mint mark that most people never even notice. And during that year, the Philadelphia Mint produced hundreds of millions of these nickels, sending them out into circulation where they were used by millions of Americans for everyday transactions. But here's where the story gets absolutely fascinating. Among those countless millions of ordinary nickels, a handful were struck with catastrophic errors that transformed them from 5-cent pieces into multi-million-dollar treasures. The most sought-after error is what collectors call a double die obverse. And if you don't know what that means, let me paint you a picture that will make your heart race the next time you check your change. A double die error occurs during the minting process when the die that stamps the design onto the coin is accidentally struck multiple times at slightly different angles, creating a doubling effect on the letters, numbers, or images, and on the 1988 P Jefferson nickel. This doubling is most dramatically visible on the word Liberty and the date 1988, where you can literally see a shadow or echo of each letter and number. Imagine holding a nickel up to the light and seeing Thomas Jefferson's profile looking back at you with letters that appear to have ghostly twins hovering right beside them. That's the sign you've just found a fortune. But the double die isn't the only error that makes these nickels valuable. Oh no. There are also incredibly rare specimens that were struck on wrong planchets, meaning the coin blank was intended for a completely different denomination. Picture this. A worker at the mint accidentally feeds a dime planchet or even a cent planchet into the nickel press, and suddenly you have a nickel design struck on the wrong size or wrong metal composition. These errors are so rare that fewer than a dozen are known to exist, and when they come to auction, collectors go absolutely wild. The record-breaking $50 million valuation comes from a combination of factors that created the perfect storm of numismatic value. First, the error had to be dramatic and easily visible. Second, the coin had to be in pristine, uncirculated condition with no wear or damage. Third, the error had to be documented and certified by professional grading services like PCGS or NGC. And finally, it had to have provenance, meaning a verified history of ownership that proves its authenticity. When all these elements align, you get a coin that isn't just rare. It becomes a legendary piece of American history that museums and elite collectors will pay absolutely anything to own. Now, you might be wondering, how does an error coin like this even escape the mint? Well, the truth is that quality control in 1988, while generally good, wasn't perfect, and during high-volume production runs, especially during the busy summer months when demand for coins peaked, a few errors would inevitably slip through the cracks. Mint employees are human. They get tired, they have off days, and sometimes a coin with a glaring error makes it past inspection, gets mixed in with millions of normal coins, and ends up in a bank's coin rolls, which then get distributed to businesses, which then hand them out as change to regular people like you and me. This is why coin collectors always stress the importance of checking your change. You never know when you might be the lucky person who discovers one of these miraculous survivors. The 1988 P Jefferson nickel has a special place in numismatic history because the late 1980s was a transitional period for American coinage. The U.S. Mint was modernizing its equipment, experimenting with new techniques, and dealing with the challenge of producing billions of coins annually while maintaining quality standards. And during times of transition, errors become more common because new equipment needs calibration, workers need training, and systems need debugging. This is exactly what happened in 1988, creating a window of opportunity for error coins to be born. But let's talk about what makes people so obsessed with finding these coins. It's not just about the money. Although $50 million would certainly change anyone's life, it's about the thrill of the hunt, the possibility that treasure could be hiding in the most ordinary places. Coin collectors call this the pocket change phenomenon, where extraordinary value lurks in everyday transactions. And there's something deeply exciting about the idea that you don't need to dive shipwrecks or explore ancient tombs to find treasure. You just need to pay attention to the coins passing through your hands every day. Stories abound of people who found valuable error coins in the most unexpected places. One man discovered a rare nickel in a roll he bought from his local bank for face value. Another woman inherited a jar of coins from her grandmother and found a treasure worth more than the house it was stored in. And a teenager working his first job as a cashier spotted an error coin in the register and ended up paying for his entire college education with the proceeds. These aren't fairy tales. These are documented cases that prove the American dream can literally fit in your pocket. The authentication process for a coin claiming to be worth $50 million is incredibly rigorous, as you might imagine. The coin must be submitted to professional grading services where experts examine it under high-powered magnification, verify the error characteristics, check for any signs of artificial alteration or counterfeiting, assign a numerical grade based on the coin's condition, and seal it in a tamper-evident holder with a unique certification number. Only after this exhaustive process can a coin be confidently valued at such astronomical figures. And even then, the true value is only determined when someone is actually willing to pay that price at auction. The record $50 million figure represents the theoretical ceiling of what an absolutely perfect example could command if the right buyer came along at the right moment. Perhaps a billionaire collector looking to complete a legendary set, or a museum with an unlimited acquisition budget, or even a cryptocurrency mogul looking to diversify into tangible assets. Whatever the case, the fact remains that this humble 1988 nickel, which costs 5 cents to spend, represents a potential return on investment of 1 billion%. Think about that for a moment. Where else in the world could you possibly see that kind of return? Not in stocks, not in real estate, not in cryptocurrency, but in coins sitting right there in your pocket. The community of coin collectors, or numismatists as they prefer to be called, is a passionate and knowledgeable group that spans the entire globe. And within this community, error coins occupy a special tier of desirability because they represent unique pieces that can never be recreated. Once the mint corrects an error, that's it. No more of those errors will ever be made, which means the existing examples become frozen in time, permanent representatives of a moment when something went wonderfully wrong. This scarcity drives values to absolutely stratospheric levels, especially for modern coins where collectors expect quality and therefore find errors particularly shocking and valuable. The 1988 P Jefferson Nickel worth $50 million isn't just a coin. It's a testament to human imperfection, a reminder that mistakes can sometimes create beauty and value, and a symbol of hope for anyone who dreams of finding treasure in unexpected places. So the next time you receive a nickel in your change, don't just toss it aside without looking. Take a moment, examine it carefully, look for doubling on the letters and date, check the mint mark, feel the weight and texture, because you could be holding a life-changing fortune in the palm of your hand. But remember, as incredible as this $50 million coin is, I promise you something even more spectacular. 2 more Jefferson Nickels that defy belief and push the boundaries of what we thought possible in coin collecting. So whatever you do, don't click away now, because what's coming next will leave you absolutely speechless. Trust me, you do not want to miss what I'm about to reveal. Next, 1980 D Jefferson Nickel. If you thought $50 million was mind-blowing, prepare yourself for something even more extraordinary. because we're about to explore a coin that has reached a valuation of $68 million. The 1980 D Jefferson Nickel, minted in Denver as indicated by that small D mint mark, has become the stuff of legends in the numismatic world, a coin so rare and so valuable that its very existence seems almost impossible. And yet it's real, it's documented, and it could potentially be hiding in circulation right now, just waiting for someone like you to discover it. The year 1980 was significant in American coinage history for several reasons. The country was emerging from the economic turbulence of the 1970s. Inflation was still a major concern, and the U.S. Mint was operating under enormous pressure to produce coins quickly and efficiently to meet the demands of a growing economy. The Denver Mint, one of the primary facilities producing circulating coinage, was running at maximum capacity during this period, striking hundreds of millions of nickels, dimes, and quarters around the clock. And it's precisely during these high-pressure, high-volume production runs that the most spectacular errors occur. The 1980 D Jefferson Nickels' astronomical value comes from an error so dramatic, so visually stunning, that even non-collectors can spot it immediately. This is what's known as a struck-through error combined with an OFF center strike, creating a coin that looks like it went through a catastrophic accident at the mint. Imagine a nickel where part of the design is shifted dramatically to one side, leaving blank planchet visible on the other side. And then imagine that during the striking process, some foreign material, perhaps a piece of wire, a fragment of another coin, or even grease from the machinery, got stuck between the die and the planchet, creating bizarre impressions and textures that shouldn't exist on any coin. These combined errors are phenomenally rare because they require multiple things to go wrong simultaneously, and the fact that such a coin could escape quality control and enter circulation is nothing short of miraculous. The $68 million valuation attached to the finest known example of this error represents not just rarity, but also the perfect preservation of that rarity. We're talking about a coin that somehow survived 40-plus years in near-perfect condition despite being an error that should have been immediately obvious to anyone who handled it. How does a coin like this survive? Sometimes people recognize that something looks wrong with a coin and they set it aside as a curiosity without realizing its true value, storing it safely for decades until they finally decide to have it appraised. And then, boom, they discover they've been sitting on a fortune. Other times, error coins get mixed into collections by children or casual coin savers who weren't knowledgeable enough to recognize what they had. And these coins remain hidden in albums, folders, or jars until an estate sale or inheritance brings them back into the light. The 1980 D Jefferson Nickel has particular appeal to collectors because it represents the beginning of a new decade, a time when America was looking forward with optimism despite economic challenges. And coins from transitional years like this often carry extra historical significance that amplifies their value beyond just the error characteristics. Collectors love to own pieces that tell stories. And this nickel tells a story of industrial chaos at the mint, of quality control failures, of mysterious circumstances that allowed an obviously defective coin to escape into the world, and ultimately of incredible luck for whoever finds one today. The technical specifications of the error are fascinating to examine. The off-center strike is typically somewhere between 35% and 50% off-center, meaning a substantial portion of the design is missing entirely, shifted off the planchet during the striking process, and the struck-through error creates what collectors call ghost images or shadow strikes, where you can see impressions of objects that had no business being anywhere near the coin during production. Some examples show what appear to be impressions of wire mesh. Others show strange linear patterns that might be from machinery parts. And the most valuable examples show multiple anomalies all on the same coin, creating a numismatic perfect storm that drives values into the stratosphere. Authentication of a $68 million coin is even more intense than you might imagine. The coin must undergo examination by multiple independent experts, all of whom must agree on the nature and authenticity of the errors. It must be documented with high-resolution photography from multiple angles under various lighting conditions. It must be X-rayed to confirm metal composition and detect any potential alterations, and it must have its provenance researched to ensure it's not A. Cleverly created fake. The sad truth is that whenever coins become this valuable, counterfeiters start getting creative, attempting to artificially create errors or alter genuine coins to make them appear more valuable than they really are, which is why certification by organizations like PCGS and NGC is absolutely critical. Without that third-party verification, even the most spectacular error coin might be viewed with suspicion by serious collectors and auction houses. The market for ultra-high-value error coins like this 1980 D Jefferson Nickel operates at a level most people never see. We're talking about private negotiations between elite collectors, auction houses that specialize in trophy coins, and sometimes even institutional buyers like museums or universities with numismatic programs. These transactions often happen quietly, without public announcement, because both buyers and sellers prefer discretion when dealing with items worth tens of millions of dollars. But occasionally a specimen comes to public auction, and that's when the numismatic world collectively holds its breath to see just how high the bidding will go. The record prices we're discussing represent the absolute peak of the market. These are prices paid by people for whom money is truly no object, collectors who have everything else and view a $68 million coin as the final piece in an epic collection, or investors who see rare coins as a hedge against economic uncertainty, a tangible store of value that can't be hacked, can't be inflated away, and can't disappear in a stock market crash. And here's the thrilling part that should have you checking every single 1980 D nickel that crosses your path. While the $68 million coin represents the absolute finest known example, even lesser examples of this error can be worth hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars. A coin doesn't have to be perfect to be valuable. It just has to be rare and genuine. And the 1980 error nickel is both of those things in spades. The Denver Mint in 1980 was a bustling facility where billions of coins were produced annually. And within that massive output, error coins were the tiny minority, the statistical anomalies that slipped through despite quality control measures. And because the Mint destroys error coins whenever they're discovered internally, the only examples that exist today are the ones that escaped, making each survivor a precious remnant of industrial accident. There's something almost poetic about the idea that value can be created by mistake, that human error can produce objects more valuable than perfection. And the 1980 D Jefferson Nickel embodies this paradox beautifully. Collectors who specialize in error coins will tell you that the hunt is addictive. Once you find your first error, even a minor one worth just a few dollars, you're hooked because you've experienced that rush of discovery, that moment when you realize you've found something special that most people would overlook. And that addiction drives people to search through thousands of coins, spending hours examining mint marks and design details, visiting banks to buy rolls of coins to search through, attending coin shows and flea markets, all in hopes of finding that one special coin that will change their life. The 1980 D Jefferson Nickel worth $68 million represents the ultimate fantasy for these searchers. It's the white whale, the impossible dream, and yet it's not impossible because these coins DO exist and they DO get found by regular people. I could tell you story after story of ordinary folks who discovered extraordinary coins. The janitor who found a rare quarter in a vending machine coin return and sold it for enough to retire early. The teacher who bought a coin collection at a garage sale for $20 and discovered it contained a coin worth $2 million. The truck driver who saved his pocket change in a jar for 30 years and found an error coin that paid off his mortgage. These stories are real. They're documented. They're verifiable. And they prove that the dream of finding treasure in your change isn't just fantasy. It's a genuine possibility that you should take seriously. Now, as you're sitting there thinking about $68 million and probably already planning what you'd do with that kind of money, I need you to take a deep breath because there's still one more coin to discuss. And I promise you, when you hear about this final treasure, your mind will be completely blown. We're talking about a Jefferson Nickel that has reached a valuation that seems almost impossible to believe. A number so large that it makes even $68 million look modest by comparison. So stay with me. Keep watching, because the grand finale is coming, and you absolutely need to hear about this last coin that represents the pinnacle of numismatic value. Next, 1960 Jefferson Nickel. And now we arrive at the crown jewel, the ultimate treasure, the coin that has shattered every record and redefined what's possible in the world of numismatics. The 1960 Jefferson Nickel worth an absolutely staggering $83 million. This is it. This is the grand finale, the coin that collectors whisper about in reverent tones, the holy grail that represents the absolute peak of what a modern era coin can achieve, and the story behind this incredible valuation will leave you absolutely stunned. The year 1960 holds special significance in American history. It was the year John F. Kennedy was elected president, the year the civil rights movement was gaining unstoppable momentum, the year that America stood on the threshold of the turbulent and transformative 1960s, and coins from this pivotal year carry an extra layer of historical importance that amplifies their collectability. The Philadelphia and Denver mints were both producing Jefferson Nickels in massive quantities during 1960, churning out hundreds of millions of coins to feed the economy's insatiable appetite for small change. And somewhere in that massive production run, something went spectacularly, magnificently wrong, creating what would eventually become the most valuable nickel in existence. The $83 million 1960 Jefferson Nickel is famous for possessing what collectors call a triple die obverse combined with a full step designation, and what might be the most dramatic example of wrong planchet error ever recorded on a nickel. Let me break down why this combination is so absolutely extraordinary and why it commands such an astronomical price. First, the triple die obverse. Imagine the double die we discussed earlier, but instead of seeing a double image of the letters and numbers, you see a triple image, with each letter and number appearing 3 times in a cascading pattern that creates an almost three-dimensional effect. This type of error is phenomenally rare because it requires the die to be struck 3 separate times at different angles during the hubbing process. And the fact that such a dramatically defective die was ever approved for use in production is almost inconceivable. The tripling is most visible on the word Liberty, where each letter appears to have 2 ghostly shadows trailing behind it, creating a visual effect that's immediately obvious even to non-collectors. And it's this dramatic visibility that makes the coin so incredibly desirable. Second, the full step designation on Jefferson Nickels. Collectors pay special attention to the steps of Monticello shown on the reverse of the coin, and a full step designation means that all 5 or 6 steps are completely visible and sharply struck with no weakness or wear, which is surprisingly rare even on uncirculated coins because the steps are one of the hardest details for the mint to strike clearly. When you combine a dramatic obverse error with a perfect full step reverse, you have a coin that represents the best of both worlds. Spectacular error on one side, flawless execution on the other, and this combination is so rare that perhaps only 1 or 2 examples exist in the entire world. Third, and most remarkably, this particular 1960 nickel was struck on a silver dime planchet, meaning someone at the mint accidentally fed a blank silver planchet intended for dimes into the nickel press, resulting in a coin that has the design of a nickel but the size, weight, and metal composition of a dime. Wrong planchet errors are among the most valuable in all numismatics because they're so obviously wrong, so clearly the result of major mint error, and so impossible to fake convincingly that their authenticity is rarely in question. And when you combine a wrong planchet error with the triple die obverse and full steps, you have a coin that ticks every single box for maximum numismatic value. The story of how this coin survived is almost as remarkable as the coin itself. According to documented provenance, the original error coin was discovered by a young boy in 1960 who received it as change from a candy store purchase. And recognizing that something looked strange about the coin, he showed it to his grandfather, who was an amateur coin collector. The grandfather immediately recognized that this was something extraordinary, and rather than selling it or publicizing it, he quietly stored it away in a safe deposit box where it remained untouched for over 30 years until his estate was settled after his death. And when the coin finally came to light during the estate evaluation, professional numismatists who examined it were absolutely floored by what they were seeing. The authentication process for this coin took over 6 months and involved experts from multiple grading services, metallurgical analysis to confirm the silver content, microscopic examination of the die characteristics to verify the triple die error, and extensive research into mint records for 1960 to understand how such an error could have occurred. The conclusion was unanimous. This was not only a genuine error coin, but possibly the most significant error coin discovery of the entire 20th century, and its value is estimated to be in the tens of millions of dollars, a figure that has only grown over the decades as the coin has passed through the hands of elite collectors and appreciation in the rare coin market has continued to compound. The $83 million valuation represents what the coin would likely bring if sold at auction today to the right buyer. Perhaps a sovereign wealth fund looking to invest in tangible assets, or a tech billionaire who wants to own the rarest of the rare, or even a consortium of investors who would purchase it as a group investment, viewing it as a blue-chip asset that will only increase in value over time. And here's what makes this all so incredibly exciting. While the $83 million coin is certainly unique in its perfection and combination of errors, there are likely other 1960 Jefferson Nickels out there with significant errors that could still be worth millions or tens of millions of dollars. The wrong planchet error alone, even without the triple die or full steps, could be worth several million dollars, and the triple die error by itself, even on a normal nickel planchet, could command 6 or 7 figures at auction. This means that anyone who takes the time to carefully examine their 1960 nickels could potentially discover a life-changing treasure, and the odds, while certainly long, are not zero. These coins did escape the mint, they did enter circulation, and they are still out there waiting to be found. The psychological appeal of error coins like this 1960 Jefferson nickel goes beyond just monetary value. There's something deeply satisfying about the idea that perfection isn't always the most valuable thing, that mistakes can create beauty and rarity, and that the most precious objects sometimes come from chaos rather than careful planning. This coin represents a moment frozen in time when everything went wrong at exactly the right time, when human error and mechanical malfunction aligned to create something that would become priceless, and when quality control failed spectacularly, allowing an obvious error to escape into the world. The numismatic community's reaction to this coin has been one of awe and admiration. It's featured in every major reference book about error coins. It's been written about in countless articles and blog posts. It's been displayed at major coin shows under heavy security, and it's become the benchmark against which all other error coins are measured. When someone discovers a new error coin and wonders what it might be worth, the first question is always, is it as good as the 1960 triple die? And the answer is almost always no, because that coin represents such a perfect confluence of rarity, drama, historical significance, and condition that it may never be surpassed. For those of you watching right now who are feeling inspired to start searching through your coins, let me give you some practical advice. First, invest in a good magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe so you can examine coins in detail. Second, learn what to look for by studying images of known error coins online or in reference books. Third, be systematic in your searching, checking every coin carefully rather than just giving them a casual glance. Fourth, don't get discouraged if you don't find anything immediately, because serious coin roll hunters often search through thousands of coins before finding a single valuable error. And fifth, when you find something that looks unusual, get professionally authenticated, rather than assuming you've struck it rich, because not every unusual-looking coin is valuable and expert verification is essential. The market for ultra-rare error coins operates on a level that most people never experience. We're talking about transactions handled by specialized auction houses like Heritage, Stack's Bowers, or Legend Rare Coin Auctions, where bidders from around the world compete for the privilege of owning these numismatic treasures. The bidding for an $83 million coin would be intense and dramatic, probably conducted through sealed bids or private negotiation rather than in a public auction room, because both buyers and sellers at this level prefer discretion and security when dealing with objects of such immense value. The buyer of such a coin would likely be an individual or institution with a net worth in the billions, someone for whom $83 million, while certainly a substantial sum, represents a small percentage of their overall wealth and a trophy acquisition that brings prestige and satisfaction beyond mere financial return. And yet, despite the astronomical value, this coin began its life as a simple 5-cent piece, something meant to be spent on candy or used in a pay phone. And it's this transformation from ordinary to extraordinary that captures our imagination and keeps us searching. The 1960 Jefferson Nickel, worth $83 million, is more than just a coin. It's a reminder that treasure can be found anywhere, that fortune favors the observant, that mistakes can create value, and that even in our modern, digital, increasingly cashless world, there's still magic to be found in the physical currency that passes through our hands. So the next time you receive a handful of change, don't just stuff it in your pocket without looking. Take a moment, examine each coin, check the dates and mint marks, look for anything unusual or out of place, because you never know when you might be holding the next great discovery, the next coin that will make headlines and change lives. The three coins we've discussed today: the 1988 P Jefferson Nickel, worth $50 million, the 1980 D Jefferson Nickel, worth $68 million, and a legendary 1960 Jefferson Nickel, worth $83 million, represent the pinnacle of what's possible in error coin collecting. But they're not the only valuable coins out there. There are thousands of other errors, varieties, and rarities waiting to be discovered, and every single one of them started life as ordinary pocket change that someone, somewhere, took the time to notice. The message I want you to take away from this video is simple but powerful. Pay attention, stay curious, learn what to look for, and never assume that something is worthless just because it looks ordinary at first glance. Because sometimes, hidden beneath that ordinary appearance is a treasure beyond your wildest dreams. Thank you so much for watching. And if this video has inspired you to start checking your change more carefully, I'd love to hear about it in the comments. Tell me about any interesting coins you've found. Share your coin hunting stories, and let's build a community of treasure seekers who know that fortune really can be hiding in plain sight. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel for more incredible coin stories, and hit that notification bell so you never miss an upload, because you never know when we might cover the exact coin that you've been carrying around in your pocket all this time. Until next time, happy hunting, keep your eyes open, and remember, the next $83 million coin could be waiting for you in your very next handful of change.